Hey Deckers, Boulders 3 got a massive patch named Patch 3, and they weren't joking when they said that this was a big patch. The patch notes are humongous, so many bug fixes and performance updates in this one. However, the performance update that we were looking for of FSR 2 is still absent. Unfortunately, there have been some performance and optimizations, but really more around dense crowds, loading times, and some of the city areas. Targeting 30 frames per second on quality mode. Unfortunately, this is just not possible on the Steam Deck beyond Act 1. Anybody who's hit Moonrise Towers will soon tell you that the performance on the Steam Deck tanks somewhat incredibly, and FSR1 really does struggle to give any decent frame rate without it looking absolutely horrible on the Steam Deck. So we do have some new settings that we want to give you that can improve this tenfold, and we'll probably get you through Act 2, and we haven't quite made it to Act 3 yet. So if you are in Act 3, let us know how these settings do for you in the big city as well, while we're waiting for the elusive FSR2. So this will be our better settings. However, there is also a better way to play if you have good internet, and we'll cover that towards the end. But huge thanks to the Deckverse for suggesting the 24 FPS cap. So that's exactly what we've done here, is turn the frame rate cap on, set it to 24, and then we're going to use the low preset with a few tweaks here of turning the model quality to medium, detail distance to medium, and also the texture quality to medium. And now, most importantly, we're going to turn FSR completely off. So disable that FSR 1 and then turn on Fidelity FX sharpening and put this around the 75% mark, and then leave the anti-aliasing on SMAA, or you can put it on TAA, whichever you prefer. I do quite like the smoothness of SMAA with the FX sharpening, and now everything looks incredibly clear and is mostly stable. I'll say mostly because we still get some big loading spikes, but it just looks so good on the Steam Deck, and it will give you a much more consistent experience. You might see a little bit dipped here and there, but it is perfectly playable at 24 frames per second, and you won't really notice it. If you're wondering why 24, it's a very cinematic FPS to use 24 frames per second in film, and it does carry very well to Baldur's Gate 3. Now, for the fan and temperatures, we are hitting the limits still, even at 24 frames per second, with that 7,300 RPM mark and around the 84 degrees mark as well. So this will be running your fans at full, and if you have a extra fan add-on, then you may want to put that on as well, and it'll give you a bit more stability, as you won't be hitting the temperature throttle so much. Once we're in battles and everything else, that 24 frames per second doesn't really feel that noticeable. If you turned off the overlay, you're really not going to notice it that much, apart from the occasional hitches on the loading spikes here and there. You can just see how good this is looking. If you're on a bigger screen, don't forget to shrink this down because this is an 800p image, but you'll notice a huge difference. However, there is still the GeForce Now way to play if you want to get to 60 frames per second at ultra settings. As you'll see here, we've dialed everything up to the max. Ignore the 30 frames per second on the overlay up top. I'll switch that over in a second. It's a bug on SteamOS 3.5 preview, which is what we're running at the moment. But you can see just how clear this is. Now, you do need stable internet to run GeForce Now, but it is extremely worth it if you cannot handle that 24 frames per second. You do need a good network and internet speed, and it will cost you monthly if you want the higher tier of around £18 a month for the top tier. But you can try it out completely free if you just want to see how well it's working for you, but you might have to queue for a machine, whereas you don't queue on the ultimate tier. Let us know in the comments below if you're diving back into Baldur's Gate 3 or how far you've got and how well these settings are running for you and where you are in the game. We'll continue to keep you updated and on the hope that we'll see FSR 2 added very soon, and we'll keep an eye out for any other decent patches as well. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next one.